The temperature in the room shifts dramatically when an Aries decides they've been wronged. It's not a subtle chill. It's a sudden heat that fills the air with electric tension, like the atmosphere before a violent summer storm. That burning sensation crawling up your spine isn't anxiety. It's your instincts warning you that something has fundamentally changed in your relationship with the zodiac's most explosive warrior. The air crackles with unseen energy, and in that moment, if you listen carefully, you might hear the distant sound of battle drums, the unmistakable signal that Mars, the god of war himself, has been summoned to your doorstep. Welcome back to Secret of the Zodiac, where today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most feared phenomena in the astrological spectrum, the Aries revenge. If you've ever wondered why the first sign of the zodiac carries such a fearsome reputation for retaliation, you're about to discover exactly why crossing an Aries might be the last mistake you'll make in that relationship, and why their fiery vengeance burns hotter and faster than any other sign in the cosmic wheel. Before we venture deeper into these blazing revelations, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. The knowledge you gain today might just save you from becoming the unwitting target of the zodiac's most impulsive revenge artist. Or perhaps you'll recognize yourself in these patterns if Mars rules your chart. Either way, this exploration into the warrior's response to betrayal will forever change how you understand the ram's approach to cosmic justice. Aries aren't like other signs when they've been betrayed. They don't plot in silence like a Scorpio, weaving webs of intrigue that might take months or years to fully manifest. They don't craft the elegant social traps of a Gemini, using words and relationships as weapons against you. They don't even build the patient, structured revenge of a Capricorn, waiting for the perfect moment when you've forgotten your transgression entirely. No, when an Aries decides you've crossed the line, what you'll notice first is the immediate shift in energy, the sudden heat of their anger radiating toward you like a blast furnace that's just been opened. And that's precisely what makes them so dangerous in the realm of retribution. Ruled by Mars, the planet of war, aggression, and raw power, Aries understands something that most other signs never fully grasp. Revenge isn't a dish best served cold. It's a weapon best wielded while the iron is still hot, striking with such speed and force that the target barely has time to register what hit them, let alone defend against it. Their approach to settling scores isn't about subtle manipulation or long-term consequences. It's about immediate, undeniable impact that forces recognition in the present moment, not some distant future where the connection between cause and effect might become blurred or forgotten. What truly separates Aries from other vengeful signs is their complete lack of hesitation. While a Taurus might ruminate on betrayal, a Virgo might analyze the situation from every angle, or a Pisces might process their emotional response first. Aries moves directly from injury to action with a speed that can be breathtaking and sometimes terrifying to witness. They operate on an instinctual level that bypasses the overthinking that often delays other signs' responses, allowing them to channel the pure, unfiltered energy of their Mars ruler into immediate, decisive action. And that's the first crucial thing to understand about Aries revenge. It operates on a timeline completely divorced from your expectations. The offense you committed this morning becomes the battle you're fighting this afternoon. The betrayal you enacted yesterday is already generating consequences today. There is no cooling off period, no time for reflection or reconsideration. In the Aries worldview, the direct line between wrongdoing and justice should be as short and straight as possible, with minimal delay between cause and effect. This isn't mere impulsiveness or lack of emotional control, though it might appear that way to more deliberate signs. For Aries, this immediate response is about something far more profound: authenticity. They believe deeply in the honest expression of emotion and the natural right to defend oneself against injury. Their revenge isn't calculating. It's almost philosophical in nature, a pure expression of the cosmic principle that actions generate immediate reactions, that every force creates an equal and opposite force in response. The most striking aspect of their approach isn't just the speed or the directness, it's the complete alignment between internal feeling and external action they maintain throughout the process. While seeking retribution, an Aries doesn't hide their intentions behind a mask of false friendliness or pretend that everything is fine. The same anger you see in their flashing eyes and tense posture is exactly what's driving their actions against you. This transparency serves multiple purposes. It warns others not to make the same mistake. It honors their own emotional truth, and perhaps most importantly, it creates an unmistakable connection between your actions and their response. This alignment gives their revenge a moral clarity that more secretive approaches often lack. The Aries isn't operating from the shadows or manipulating circumstances from a distance. They're standing directly before you, claiming the right to respond to injury with the full force of their fiery nature. There's an almost primitive honesty to this approach, reminiscent of ancient honor codes that valued direct confrontation over hidden resentment or passive aggression. As we begin to explore the 12 specific reasons why Aries excel at revenge, you'll begin to understand the intricate dynamics behind their approach. Their methods aren't random outbursts or uncontrolled reactions. They're the natural expressions of a warrior spirit that values courage, directness, and the swift restoration of respect above all else. And the first of these methods reveals exactly why their immediate response makes them so formidable when wronged. Reason 1. The immediate striker. When it comes to revenge, Aries are playing a lightning-fast game while everyone else is still setting up the board. Their first and perhaps most formidable weapon is their extraordinary speed. Unlike the calculated patience of Capricorn or the secretive plotting of Scorpio, Aries understand that true revenge isn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about striking while the iron is hot, while the emotional energy is at its peak, and while the connection between offense and response remains crystal clear to everyone involved. An Aries who has been wronged doesn't mark their calendar for next week or even tomorrow to settle the score. They're thinking in terms of minutes or hours at most. This isn't impulsiveness or lack of control. It's strategic immediacy of the highest order. They're methodically compressing the time between offense and consequence to create maximum impact with minimal warning, ensuring you have no time to prepare your defenses or craft excuses for your behavior. Consider the Aries colleague who discovers you've taken credit for their idea during a morning meeting. While other signs might nurse their resentment privately or plan a calculated response for the perfect future moment, the Aries will likely address it before lunch, perhaps by calling an impromptu follow-up meeting where they reclaim their contribution with undeniable evidence, or by directly confronting you in the hallway with witnesses present. The swiftness of their response leaves you no time to construct alibis or rally supporters to your side. You're caught in the act with the evidence still fresh and the transgression still visible to all. What makes this approach particularly effective is the complete connection between cause and effect. By the time an Aries executes their response to your betrayal, the original offense is still fresh in everyone's mind. You'll find yourself facing immediate consequences that are clearly connected to your actions, with the Aries making absolutely certain you, and often everyone else, understand exactly why this is happening. There's no mysterious misfortune befalling you months later, no subtle undermining that leaves you wondering about its source. The Aries revenge arrives with the clarion sound of a battle horn, announcing its purpose and origin with unflinching clarity. This immediacy also prevents the emotional distance that time creates. When revenge is served months after the original offense, both parties have often moved on emotionally, diluting the impact of the response. The Aries understands instinctively that emotional consequences have their greatest power when the feelings are still raw and present. By striking, while both their anger and your guilt are at their peak, they ensure their revenge resonates at the deepest emotional level possible. Reason 2. The fearless confronter. The second reason Aries excel at revenge is their unparalleled courage in confrontation. While other signs might hide behind subtle tactics or third-party intermediaries, Aries face their targets directly, looking them in the eyes while delivering consequences with a raw honesty that few can withstand without flinching or looking away. This fearless approach isn't performed for dramatic effect or audience reaction, though it often creates both. It stems from the Aries' core belief in direct action and personal accountability. They don't need to whisper behind your back or manipulate circumstances to bring you down. They have the courage to tell you exactly how you've wronged them and what price you'll pay, often to your face and without flinching. Imagine the Aries partner who discovers your betrayal. While a Cancer might retreat to process their emotions privately, a Libra might consult friends for perspective, or a Pisces might drop subtle hints about their knowledge. The Aries will likely confront you immediately with laser-focused intensity. I know what you did. Here's the evidence, and here's what happens next. This direct approach strips away the social niceties and diplomatic cushioning that often soften interpersonal conflicts, creating a raw, unfiltered exchange that forces both parties to engage with the unvarnished truth of the situation. What makes this confrontational approach so powerful is how it strips away your ability to deny or minimize the situation. There's no room for misinterpretation when an Aries is standing before you, eyes blazing with conviction, laying out your betrayal in explicit terms. This direct approach forces an immediate reckoning that other signs' more subtle methods might allow you to temporarily avoid or rationalize away. The Aries doesn't allow you the comfort of pretending nothing has happened or that your actions were less significant than they were. They bring the full weight of your transgression directly to your doorstep and demand you face it without delay or deflection. This courage extends beyond the initial confrontation to the potential consequences of their actions. While other signs might hesitate to execute revenge due to fears about potential blowback or damage to their own reputation, Aries move forward with remarkable fearlessness. They're willing to accept whatever consequences might come from their retaliation because they believe so deeply in their right to respond to injury. This fearlessness gives their revenge a momentum and finality that more cautious approaches often lack. Reason 3. The warrior's honor. The third reason Aries are formidable in revenge lies in their deep connection to a personal honor code. For Aries, betrayal isn't just emotionally hurtful. It's a direct assault on their dignity as the zodiac's warrior. Their response isn't just about emotional healing or settling scores. It's about restoring the natural order of respect that they believe must exist in all their relationships. This honor-driven approach transforms their revenge from simple retaliation into a principled reclamation of respect. If you betrayed their trust, they'll ensure you understand the value of what you've broken. If you humiliated them, they'll make certain you experience the weight of your disrespect. This isn't random punishment. It's a calibrated response designed to restore the balance of honor that your actions disturbed. The Aries honor code isn't about superficial pride or ego protection. It's about maintaining the integrity of relationships through clear boundaries and mutual respect. When you violate these principles, the Aries doesn't just feel personally wounded. They feel a responsibility to correct the imbalance you've created. Their revenge serves a larger purpose, teaching you that certain lines cannot be crossed without serious consequences, establishing boundaries that protect not just themselves, but the fundamental principles they believe should govern all human interactions. Consider the Aries friend who discovers you've been sharing their confidences with others. Their response isn't simply about feeling betrayed. It's about addressing the violation of the sacred trust between friends. Their revenge might involve publicly calling out your behavior, temporarily cutting you off to demonstrate the value of what you've lost, or creating a situation where you experience a similar breach of trust. Whatever form it takes, the response is designed not just to hurt you, but to restore the proper order of things, to re-establish the boundaries and expectations that maintain relationship integrity. What makes this honor-driven approach particularly powerful is its moral clarity. Aries don't question whether they are justified in their revenge. They know with absolute certainty that they're right and you're wrong. This conviction gives their actions a force and momentum that more ambivalent signs can never match, allowing them to execute their revenge without the hesitation or doubt that might weaken its impact. When an Aries decides you've violated their honor code, they move forward with the absolute certainty of someone enforcing natural law rather than personal preference. This moral clarity also explains why Aries' revenge often has a public component. Unlike signs that prefer to settle scores privately, Aries frequently believe that justice should be visible, that the restoration of honor requires witnesses who can acknowledge that proper order has been restored. This isn't about humiliating you for its own sake. It's about ensuring that the same audience that witnessed the dishonor also witnesses its correction, completing the cycle of justice in a way that private revenge never could. The warrior's honor approach to revenge reveals the deeper motivation behind Aries' retaliation. They aren't acting from pettiness or emotional reactivity. They are participating in an ancient tradition of honor defense that stretches back to humanity's earliest social codes. Their revenge isn't just about making you suffer. It's about maintaining the moral framework they believe should govern all human interactions, ensuring that actions have appropriate consequences, and that respect, once violated, is forcefully restored. As these three powerful aspects of Aries' revenge, immediacy, confrontation, and honor, combine in their approach to settling scores, they create a formidable response to betrayal that few can withstand or forget. And yet, these represent just the beginning of the Aries' revenge arsenal, with even more dynamic and passionate strategies revealed in their tendency to escalate conflicts beyond their original proportions. Reason 4. The passionate escalator. The fourth reason Aries excel at revenge lies in their natural tendency to escalate conflicts beyond their original proportions. What might begin as a minor disagreement or small betrayal quickly transforms into an epic battle of wills as the Aries fire element amplifies and expands every perceived slight, turning sparks into infernos with breathtaking speed. This escalation isn't calculated or premeditated. It's the natural expression of the Aries' passionate nature. When they feel wronged, their emotional response grows exponentially with each passing moment, fueled by their intense connection to their own feelings and their inability to compartmentalize or diminish emotional wounds. What you might consider a forgettable comment becomes, in the Aries mind, an unforgivable attack requiring a proportional response, and their definition of proportional often exceeds what others might consider reasonable. The Aries who discovers a small deception doesn't just address that specific lie, they suddenly question everything about the relationship, launching a comprehensive investigation into past interactions to identify patterns you never realized were being formed. A minor criticism in a professional setting doesn't receive a measured defense. It triggers a complete reassessment of workplace dynamics, with the Aries suddenly challenging authority structures, decision-making processes, and the fundamental fairness of the entire organization. What makes this escalation particularly dangerous is how it can transform minor conflicts into major life events. The Aries doesn't just want to address the specific issue at hand. They want to completely reset the dynamics of the relationship, establishing new boundaries and expectations through the sheer force of their response. This tendency to expand the battlefield means that even small transgressions can trigger consequences that affect multiple areas of your relationship or interactions, creating ripple effects that extend far beyond the original conflict. This escalation also serves a strategic purpose, whether the Aries consciously realizes it or not. By dramatically expanding the scope and intensity of their response, they create a powerful deterrent against future transgressions. The message becomes clear. If this is how they respond to a minor offense, imagine what would happen if you committed a major one. The disproportionate nature of their reaction serves as a warning sign, establishing them as someone who should not be crossed, even in small matters, because of their willingness to escalate beyond expected norms. Consider the seemingly innocent moment when you cancel plans with an Aries at the last minute. While most signs might express disappointment or reschedule, the Aries might launch into a comprehensive reassessment of your entire friendship, bringing up past reliability issues, questioning your true loyalty, and demanding a complete explanation that satisfies their sense of being prioritized appropriately. What began as a simple scheduling conflict suddenly becomes a referendum on the fundamental value and respect within the relationship. and you find yourself defending not just your cancellation, but your entire history of interaction. Reason 5, the competitive avenger. The fifth reason Aries are masters of revenge is their deeply competitive nature. For Aries, revenge isn't just about justice or emotional healing. It's about decisively winning the conflict. They approach retaliation with the same competitive drive they bring to sports, careers, or any challenge. Transforming revenge from an emotional response into a contest, they are determined to dominate with unmistakable finality. This competitive mindset means an Aries doesn't just want to get even. They want to emerge clearly victorious. They measure success not by whether justice was served, but by whether they have definitively proven their superiority and strength in the aftermath. This winner-takes-all approach drives them to invest extraordinary energy and resources into their revenge, often going far beyond what the situation might objectively warrant, because in their mind, the real goal isn't proportional response, it's decisive victory. What makes this competitive revenge particularly effective is how it leverages the Aries' natural strengths. They bring their trademark determination, focus, and action-oriented approach to the task, treating revenge with the same serious preparation and execution they would bring to any important competition. They study your weaknesses, develop targeted strategies, and execute with the precision of an athlete going for gold. Except in this case, the prize is your absolute defeat and their undeniable triumph. Unlike more reflective signs, who might question whether revenge is worth the effort or morally justified, Aries channel all their considerable energy into winning the conflict. They aren't distracted by philosophical doubts or emotional ambivalence. They're completely focused on achieving their objective, demonstrating beyond any doubt that crossing them was a losing proposition. This single-minded focus gives their revenge an intensity and momentum that more contemplative approaches often lack. The competitive avenger doesn't just want you to regret your actions. They want you to acknowledge their superior position in the aftermath. There's an implicit demand for recognition in their approach, a need for you to not just experience consequences, but to admit defeat, to concede that they have bested you in this conflict. This desire for acknowledgement often extends beyond private admission to public recognition, with the Aries seeking visible evidence that their victory has been noted by others in your shared social or professional circles. Imagine an Aries whose romantic partner has betrayed their trust, while a Pisces might withdraw to lick their wounds, or a Taurus might stubbornly cut off contact. The competitive Aries launches into a comprehensive campaign to win the breakup. They immediately elevate every aspect of their life, hitting the gym with renewed intensity, advancing professionally with fierce determination, upgrading their social connections, and making certain these improvements are visible to both the ex-partner and their shared social circle. The message is clear. Not only are they fine without you, they're actually thriving, proving decisively that losing them was your loss, not theirs. Reason 6, the explosive truth teller. The sixth reason Aries excel at revenge is their willingness to deploy brutal honesty as a weapon. When seeking retribution, Aries strip away social niceties and political correctness, publicly revealing uncomfortable truths that others might politely ignore. This isn't just about exposing your secrets. It's about forcing direct confrontation with realities you've been avoiding, creating a moment of raw authenticity that can be more devastating than any calculated scheme. This truth-telling approach stems from the Aries' natural disdain for pretense and deception. They believe in straightforward communication and authentic expression, values that become weaponized when they're wronged. An Aries seeking revenge won't hint at their grievances or couch them in diplomatic language. They'll name them explicitly, often in public settings where the social pressure amplifies the impact of their revelations. The Aries who discovers workplace hypocrisy doesn't quietly seethe or play political games. They call out the double standards in the middle of a team meeting, forcing everyone to acknowledge the uncomfortable reality that had been strategically ignored. The Aries who feels betrayed by a friend doesn't drop subtle hints or engage in passive-aggressive behavior. They directly confront the friend with explicit evidence of their disloyalty, often in front of mutual acquaintances, who can no longer pretend not to know what happened. What makes this approach particularly devastating is how it targets the gap between public perception and private reality. Aries instinctively understand that many people invest heavily in maintaining certain images or narratives about themselves. By directly challenging these carefully constructed facades with unvarnished truths, they strike at the foundation of your social or professional identity, creating consequences that extend far beyond the immediate confrontation. Unlike signs that might use secrets as leverage for manipulation or private gain, Aries believe the truth itself is the most powerful weapon. They don't threaten to expose information. They simply reveal it, often without warning, creating a sudden collapse of pretense that leaves you exposed and vulnerable. This approach aligns perfectly with their preference for immediate action and their disdain for prolonged game playing or psychological manipulation. The explosive truth teller doesn't just reveal facts. They frame these revelations within a moral context that highlights the gap between your claimed values and your actual behavior. It's not enough to expose what you did. They want everyone to understand the hypocrisy or betrayal those actions represent. This moral framing transforms simple information into damning evidence against your character, creating a narrative that's difficult to counter or reframe once it's been established in the public consciousness. Consider the Aries who discovers a friend has been spreading rumors behind their back. Rather than retaliating with counter-rumors or subtle social undermining, they're likely to confront the friend directly in a group setting. "You've been telling people I'm unreliable, yet you're the one who canceled plans 3 times last month. You present yourself as supportive, but you're actually undermining me when I'm not around." This direct exposure of the contradiction between public persona and private behavior creates an immediate social reckoning that more subtle approaches might never achieve. What makes this truth-telling particularly powerful is the Aries' willingness to accept whatever consequences might come from their revelations. While other signs might hesitate to expose truths for fear of damaging relationships or creating uncomfortable situations, Aries prioritize authenticity over social comfort. They'd rather deal with the fallout of honest confrontation than maintain relationships built on deception or unaddressed grievances. This willingness to accept social disruption gives their truth-telling a force and finality that more cautious approaches can never match. The explosive truth-teller reveals perhaps the most fundamental aspect of Aries' revenge philosophy. They believe that the most powerful response to wrongdoing isn't elaborate schemes or subtle manipulation. It's simply forcing everyone involved to confront reality without filters or pretense. Their revenge creates moments of unavoidable truths that cut through social performances and diplomatic facades, establishing a clarity that, while often uncomfortable, serves their deep belief that authentic expression is always preferable to comfortable deception. As these 3 dynamic aspects of Aries' revenge, passionate escalation, competitive triumph, and explosive truth-telling, combine in their approach to settling scores, they create a formidable response to betrayal that few can withstand or easily forget. And yet, these represent just the middle stages of the Aries revenge arsenal, with even more strategic and impactful approaches revealed in their ability to transform spontaneity into unexpected tactical brilliance. Reason 7. The impulsive strategist. The 7th reason Aries excel at revenge is their paradoxical combination of spontaneity and strategic thinking. While their actions often appear impulsive or reactive, there's a surprising tactical brilliance underlying their approach, a chaotic yet effective strategy that makes their revenge particularly difficult to predict or counter. This unexpected merger of fire and forethought creates a response pattern that leaves targets constantly off balance, unable to anticipate the next move or prepare adequate defenses. This impulsive strategy doesn't follow conventional patterns of planning and execution. Instead, it leverages the Aries' exceptional ability to think and act simultaneously, making decisions in real time based on evolving circumstances. They don't need elaborate schemes plotted weeks in advance. They assess the situation, identify vulnerabilities, and strike in a single fluid motion that catches targets completely off guard. This compressed timeline between thought and action gives their revenge a spontaneous quality that belies the strategic intelligence driving it. What makes this approach particularly effective is how it bypasses normal defensive mechanisms. Most people prepare for revenge by anticipating logical, predictable responses to their actions. The Aries approach defies these expectations by combining logical consequences with seemingly random elements that no rational analysis could predict. This unpredictability creates a psychological impact that extends far beyond the actual consequences, leaving you constantly wondering what might come next and unable to establish a sense of security or closure. The impulsive strategist operates with a form of intuitive intelligence that doesn't require the detailed planning other signs might employ, while a Virgo might create elaborate flow charts of possible scenarios, or a Capricorn might construct a methodical timeline for their revenge. Aries accesses a more instinctual form of strategic thinking, one that allows them to identify and exploit opportunities in the moment without needing to map them out in advance. This adaptive approach means they can seize unexpected openings and adjust their tactics instantly based on your responses, creating a dynamic form of revenge that evolves faster than you can comprehend or counter it. Consider the Aries who discovers a colleague has been taking credit for their work. Rather than devising a complex plan to expose this behavior over time, they might wait until the perfect spontaneous moment, perhaps when the colleague begins presenting their ideas in a meeting with upper management. The Aries might suddenly produce evidence of their original work, asking pointed questions that expose the pattern of theft without seeming premeditated. The timing feels impulsive, yet the execution reveals careful observation and strategic awareness of exactly when and how to create maximum impact with minimal effort. This combination of spontaneity and strategy also manifests in the Aries' ability to use chaos itself as a tactical advantage. They instinctively understand that in unpredictable environments, those who can act decisively without needing perfect information hold the advantage. While you're still processing what's happening and trying to formulate a measured response, the Aries has already taken 3 additional actions that completely change the dynamic again. This creates a perpetual state of reactive defense that prevents you from ever gaining solid footing or establishing control over the situation. Perhaps most disconcertingly, the impulsive strategist never appears to be executing a revenge plan at all. Their actions seem so spontaneous and genuine that they maintain perfect deniability. There's never a moment where you can clearly identify what's happening as calculated revenge rather than natural response. This authentic quality makes their actions difficult to label as petty or vindictive, allowing them to maintain their moral position even while delivering consequences you never saw coming. Reason 8. The physical manifestor. The 8th reason Aries excel at revenge is their ability to channel retribution through physical energy and tangible consequences. Unlike more cerebral or emotional signs, Aries transform their anger into concrete actions that create real-world impact. You can't simply ignore or rationalize away. This materialization of revenge moves it from the realm of feeling or thought into physical reality, where its effects become undeniable and unavoidable. This physical manifestation takes many forms, from the Aries who channels the revenge energy into dominating you in sports or fitness competitions, to the one who uses that fire to create spectacular success that highlights your failings, to the one who simply ensures that consequences materialize in your physical environment rather than just your emotional landscape. Whatever form it takes, their revenge has substance and presence. It occupies space in the real world, making it impossible to dismiss as imagination or overreaction. What makes this approach particularly powerful is how it forces engagement on the Aries' preferred battlefield. You can't dismiss physical consequences as just feelings or abstract concepts. When an Aries brings revenge into the tangible world, you have no choice but to acknowledge and respond to it directly, giving them the confrontation and recognition they instinctively seek when wronged. This material quality ensures their revenge creates impact that registers on multiple levels simultaneously: emotional, social, and physical, multiplying its effectiveness beyond what purely psychological approaches might achieve. The physical manifestor understands instinctively that embodied experiences create deeper imprints than intellectual ones. They know that you might forget what was said or even how you felt, but you'll remember what physically happened, the tangible consequences that affected your daily life and routine. By creating revenge that exists in the material world, they ensure their response leaves lasting impressions that aren't easily erased by time or rationalization. Consider the Aries partner whose trust has been betrayed. While a Scorpio might create emotional consequences through withdrawal, or a Libra might establish social consequences through relationship dynamics, the Aries creates physical manifestations of their response, perhaps by reclaiming shared spaces, dramatically changing their appearance to signal the relationship's transformation, or channeling their emotional energy into visible self-improvement that serves as a constant reminder of what was lost. These material changes create ongoing, unavoidable reminders of the consequences of betrayal that can't be escaped through emotional distance or intellectual compartmentalization. This physical approach to revenge also allows Aries to transform negative energy into positive action in ways other signs might find difficult. Rather than allowing anger to consume them internally or dissipate without purpose, they channel it into productive physical outlets that simultaneously serve their revenge goals and their personal growth. The Aries who responds to workplace betrayal by doubling their productivity and visibly outperforming the betrayer isn't just seeking revenge. They're converting the emotional fuel of anger into tangible achievements that benefit them long after the conflict has ended. The physical manifestor's approach reveals a fundamental aspect of Aries' philosophy. They believe that real change happens through action, not just words or feelings. Their revenge isn't complete until it has manifested in the physical world, creating consequences you can see, touch, or otherwise experience through your senses. This materialization ensures their response has an impact that transcends momentary emotional reactions, establishing new realities that persist as ongoing reminders of the natural consequences of crossing them. Reason 9. The territorial defender. The ninth reason Aries excel at revenge is their profound understanding of territory and boundaries. When you cross an Aries, you don't just face consequences for your specific actions. You trigger a comprehensive defense of their entire domain, with a counterattack that pushes back against every boundary you violated and then advances to claim new ground. This territorial response transforms a single transgression into a complete recalibration of power dynamics across all areas of interaction. This territorial approach isn't just about addressing the immediate transgression. It's about fundamentally resetting the power dynamics between you by demonstrating the Aries' strength and dominance across multiple domains. They don't just want to punish your boundary violation. They want to establish new, stronger boundaries that you'll never dare cross again, creating a buffer zone of respect that protects them from future incursions. What makes this approach particularly effective is how it transforms a single incident into a comprehensive recalibration of your relationship. The Aries uses the initial transgression as justification to reassert control over areas you may have taken for granted, creating a new reality where their position is stronger and your influence is diminished. By the time their territorial defense is complete, the original issue seems almost secondary to the broader shift in power that has occurred. The territorial defender operates from an instinctual understanding that boundaries require active enforcement to remain effective. They know that a single unanswered violation invites further transgressions, creating a slippery slope that eventually erodes all meaningful limits. Their comprehensive response isn't just about addressing the current situation. It's about preventing future boundary violations by establishing themselves as someone who responds to encroachment with immediate and decisive territorial defense. Consider the Aries whose personal information was shared without permission. Rather than simply addressing that specific breach, they're likely to launch a comprehensive boundary enforcement campaign, suddenly becoming much more selective about what information they share with whom, establishing explicit rules about privacy expectations and creating clear consequences for future violations. What began as a single incident becomes the catalyst for a complete restructuring of information flow and trust parameters across the entire relationship. This territorial defense often extends beyond the original domain of the transgression to encompass related areas you might not expect to be affected. The Aries, whose professional boundaries were violated, might suddenly become more assertive about personal boundaries as well, recognizing that respect is a holistic quality that either exists across domains or isn't truly present at all. This expansion ensures their response creates ripple effects that extend far beyond the immediate issue, establishing comprehensive new expectations for how they must be treated in all contexts. Perhaps most importantly, the territorial defender doesn't just push back against violations. They advance beyond previous boundaries to establish new positions of strength. Like a nation that doesn't just repel an invasion, but claims new buffer territory in response, the Aries uses the energy of conflict to expand their domain rather than simply restore the status quo. This expansion ensures they emerge from conflict not just unharmed but actually strengthened, with new territory that provides additional security against future transgressions. The territorial defender reveals a fundamental truth about Aries' revenge. They don't seek merely to punish or correct specific actions. They aim to fundamentally transform relationship dynamics to ensure such transgressions never happen again. Their revenge isn't just about the past. It's about creating a future where their boundaries are respected and their territory secure. And as they recruit allies to join their cause, this territorial transformation extends beyond individual relationships to reshape entire social landscapes. Reason 10. The passionate recruiter. The 10th reason Aries excel at revenge is their remarkable ability to rally others to their cause. While many signs seek revenge as a private matter, Aries approach it with such fiery conviction that neutral parties become enthusiastic participants in your downfall, creating a coalition of consequences that extends far beyond what the Aries could achieve alone. This social dimension transforms what might have been a contained conflict into a community response that affects multiple areas of your life simultaneously. This recruitment isn't manipulative or deceptive. It's powered by the Aries' genuine passion and their ability to articulate grievances with compelling clarity. When an Aries tells their story of being wronged, they do so with such authentic emotion and moral certainty that others naturally align with their perspective. Their narrative becomes the dominant one, with your side of the story lost beneath the persuasive force of their conviction. This isn't calculated manipulation. It's the natural outcome of their absolute belief in the rightness of their cause and their ability to communicate that belief with contagious intensity. What makes this approach particularly powerful is how it transforms private conflicts into public ones, multiplying the impact through social dynamics. The Aries doesn't just convince others you were wrong, they inspire active participation in corrective measures, creating a community response to your transgression. This social dimension ensures their revenge extends into areas of your life the Aries might not directly touch, as their recruited allies carry the message into spaces and relationships beyond the original conflict. Unlike more subtle signs who might work behind the scenes to influence opinions, Aries create passionate advocates who openly take up their cause. They don't whisper doubts about you to mutual connections. They inspire fervent defenders who proactively champion their perspective and challenge your standing within shared communities. This open advocacy creates a visible shift in social dynamics that's impossible to ignore or dismiss, forcing you to contend not just with the Aries, but with an entire network of people who now view your actions through the lens the Aries has established. Consider the Aries who has been professionally undermined by a colleague. Rather than limiting their response to that specific relationship, they might share their experience with such compelling moral clarity that team members, management, and even clients begin to reassess their interactions with you. The story spreads not through malicious gossip, but through the natural social sharing that occurs when someone presents a narrative that resonates with others' sense of justice and fair play. Before long, you find yourself facing not just one Aries' disapproval, but a collective response that affects your entire professional standing. The passionate recruiter understands that the most powerful revenge doesn't come from their actions alone, but from the cumulative impact of many people responding to your transgression. They know instinctively that humans are social creatures who calibrate their behavior based on community feedback. By transforming their individual grievance into a shared moral concern, they create consequences that extend far beyond what they could achieve through direct action, establishing new social realities that persist long after the initial conflict has ended. What distinguishes this approach from mere rumor spreading or coalition building is the authentic passion that drives it. The Aries doesn't calculate or manipulate. They simply express their genuine feelings with such intensity that others can't help but be moved by them. Their recruitment efforts succeed precisely because they aren't efforts at all, but rather the natural outcome of their unfiltered emotional expression and unwavering moral certainty. People join their cause not because they've been cleverly persuaded, but because the Aries' conviction activates their own innate sense of justice and fairness. Reason 11. The dramatic lesson giver. The 11th reason. Aries excel at revenge is their talent for creating spectacular teaching moments, unforgettable experiences designed not just to punish, but to ensure you never repeat your mistake. These lessons aren't subtle hints or gentle nudges. They're dramatic demonstrations that imprint themselves on your memory through their intensity and clarity, creating learning experiences that fundamentally change your understanding of boundaries and consequences. This lesson-centered approach stems from the Aries' belief in direct cause and effect. They don't want you to abstractly understand that your actions were wrong. They want you to viscerally experience the consequences in a way that rewires your understanding at a fundamental level. Their revenge isn't just punitive, it's educational, designed to create an automatic association between certain behaviors and their painful outcomes that will guide your future choices long after the specific incident has faded from immediate memory. What makes this approach particularly effective is its psychological stickiness. While more subtle forms of revenge might leave room for rationalization or distance, the Aries creates experiences so vivid and intense that they become reference points in your memory. Years later, you may find yourself avoiding certain behaviors not because of moral reasoning or social convention, but because of the visceral memory of what happened the last time you crossed that particular Aries. The lesson becomes embedded not just in your conscious thinking, but in your emotional responses and instinctive reactions. The dramatic lesson giver designs revenge experiences that mirror the original transgression in key ways, creating perfect symmetry between action and consequence. If you betrayed their trust, they'll create a situation where you experience exactly how it feels to have trust violated. If you publicly humiliated them, they'll ensure you face a similar moment of public exposure. This mirroring isn't just about poetic justice. It's about creating the perfect learning conditions where the connection between your action and its consequence is so clear that the lesson becomes impossible to miss or misinterpret. Consider the Aries whose professional contributions were consistently overlooked or minimized by a team leader. Rather than simply complaining or seeking alternative recognition, they might create a dramatic teaching moment by suddenly withdrawing their usual exceptional effort at a critical juncture, perhaps right before an important client presentation or project deadline. As the team scrambles to compensate for the sudden absence of their contributions, their value becomes unavoidably apparent, creating a vivid demonstration of their importance that no amount of abstract explanation could have achieved. The lesson isn't delivered through words, but through direct experience, forcing recognition of a truth that had been conveniently ignored. What distinguishes this approach from simple retribution is its future orientation. The dramatic lesson giver isn't just concerned with making you pay for past actions. They're focused on creating new understanding that prevents similar behaviors going forward. Their revenge is simultaneously backward-looking in its response to past wrongs and forward-looking in its creation of new behavioral patterns. This dual focus gives their approach a constructive quality that pure punishment lacks, potentially transforming a negative interaction into the foundation for a healthier relationship dynamic, if you're willing to truly learn the lesson they've so dramatically taught. Reason 12. The Phoenix Transformer. The final and perhaps most powerful reason Aries excel at revenge is their ability to use conflict as fuel for personal transformation. The ultimate Aries revenge isn't actually directed at you at all. It's their capacity to spectacularly reinvent themselves in response to betrayal, rising from the ashes of conflict with such renewed power and purpose that your very existence becomes irrelevant to their story. This transformative response converts what began as victimization into the catalyst for unprecedented growth, creating a narrative arc where you become not the villain who hurt them, but merely the minor character who inadvertently launched their greatest evolution. This transformative approach aligns perfectly with the Aries' natural relationship with fire, the element of destruction and rebirth. When truly wronged, they don't just seek to punish you. They use the emotional energy of betrayal to burn away limitations, ignite dormant potential, and forge themselves anew. Their revenge becomes a self-directed metamorphosis that leaves you behind in their flames, watching as they soar to heights that would have been impossible without the very conflict you initiated. What makes this approach particularly devastating is how it completely inverts the power dynamic of the original betrayal. What began as your action against them becomes merely the catalyst for their spectacular evolution. Your role in their story diminishes from antagonist to footnote as they soar beyond the conflict into new heights of achievement and self-actualization. The ultimate revenge isn't what they do to you. It's how completely they transcend any need for you at all, rendering you irrelevant to their continued journey rather than maintaining the connection that even negative emotions like resentment would preserve. The Phoenix Transformer doesn't waste energy on prolonged resentment or calculated punishment. They channel that same energy into explosive growth in areas that matter to them, perhaps recommitting to long-delayed personal goals, dramatically upgrading their physical appearance, expanding their social connections, or advancing professionally with newfound determination. This visible transformation creates its own form of justice as you watch them achieve the very success or happiness you might have hoped to diminish through your actions, forcing you to confront the ultimately self-defeating nature of your betrayal. Consider the Aries whose romantic partner betrayed their trust. While other signs might focus on making the ex-partner regret their choices through various forms of direct revenge, the Aries channel that pain into a comprehensive life upgrade, perhaps moving to a city they'd always dreamed of living in, pursuing a career path they'd previously hesitated to follow, or developing aspects of themselves that had been neglected in the relationship. Within months, they're living a visibly better life than before the betrayal, creating a narrative where the breakup becomes not a painful ending, but the fortunate beginning of their true path. The ex-partner is left with the uncomfortable realization that rather than diminishing the Aries, their actions ultimately liberated them to become something greater. This transformative approach reveals perhaps the most profound aspect of Aries' revenge philosophy. They believe that the best response to harm isn't just to punish the transgressor, but to ensure that the transgression ultimately benefits rather than diminishes them. Their phoenix-like capacity for renewal allows them to create the ultimate revenge narrative, one where betrayal becomes blessing, where injury leads to empowerment, and where the person who sought to hurt them inadvertently becomes the catalyst for their greatest victories. As we've journeyed through these 12 reasons why Aries excel at revenge, a clear pattern emerges, one that reveals the fire sign's unique approach to settling scores. Aries don't seek revenge through patient plotting or subtle manipulation. Instead, they create immediate, direct, and powerful responses that match the intensity of their passionate nature while transforming conflict energy into fuel for growth and renewal. From their immediate striking capability to their fearless confrontation style, from their honor-driven purpose to their passionate escalation, Aries create revenge experiences that are as transformative as they are memorable. Their competitive spirit ensures they don't just respond to wrongs, but decisively win conflicts, while their explosive truth-telling strips away pretense to establish painful but necessary clarity. Their impulsive strategy combines spontaneity with surprising tactical brilliance, while their physical manifestation creates tangible consequences that can't be ignored or rationalized away. As territorial defenders, they don't just address specific transgressions, but comprehensively reset power dynamics across entire relationships. Their passionate recruitment transforms individual grievances into community responses, while their dramatic lesson-giving ensures that the consequences of crossing them become permanently embedded learning experiences. And ultimately, their phoenix-like transformation converts betrayal into the catalyst for spectacular rebirth, creating the perfect revenge narrative where harm becomes the unexpected foundation for unprecedented growth. As we've journeyed through the 12 reasons why Aries excel at revenge, a clear pattern emerges, one that reveals the fire sign's unique approach to settling scores. Aries don't seek revenge through patient plotting or subtle manipulation. Instead, they create immediate, direct, and powerful responses that match the intensity of their passionate nature. We began by exploring their immediate striker capability, that remarkable ability to respond almost instantly to perceived wrongs, creating consequences before you've even processed your own actions. We examined their fearless confrontation style, the courage to look you in the eyes while delivering retribution without flinching. We discovered their warrior's honor code that transforms revenge from emotional reaction into principled restoration of respect. We explored how Aries escalate conflicts beyond their original proportions, turning minor slights into major battles through the amplifying lens of their passionate nature. We saw how their competitive spirit transforms revenge from justice-seeking into contest-winning, bringing their athletic determination to the task of decisively defeating those who wrong them. We witnessed how they weaponize brutal honesty, stripping away social niceties to expose uncomfortable truths that others politely ignore. The impulsive strategist revealed the paradoxical brilliance of Aries' revenge, spontaneous yet surprisingly tactical, chaotic yet effective. We examined how they manifest revenge physically, creating tangible consequences that can't be ignored or rationalized away. We saw how they defend their territory, not just addressing specific transgressions, but comprehensively resetting power dynamics across every domain of interaction. The passionate recruiter showed us how Aries rally others to their cause with such conviction that neutral parties become active participants in your downfall. We explored how they create dramatic teaching moments, unforgettable experiences designed to ensure lessons are permanently learned. Finally, we discovered their phoenix transformation, using conflict as fuel for spectacular reinvention that renders you irrelevant to their evolving story. These 12 approaches reveal something profound about Aries' revenge. It isn't about calculated punishment or subtle manipulation. It's about authentic expression, immediate action, and the restoration of power and respect. Aries don't seek revenge because they're petty or vindictive. They do it because they believe deeply in facing conflicts directly, establishing clear consequences, and creating relationships built on mutual respect and honor. If you found this exploration of the Aries' vengeful nature illuminating, we invite you to become part of our astrological community here at Secret of the Zodiac. Each day, we delve into the hidden aspects of zodiac signs, revealing insights that help you navigate relationships, understand yourself, and recognize the cosmic patterns that shape our interactions. Take a moment now to subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to ensure you never miss our daily zodiac revelations. Hit that notification bell so you'll be first to know when we release new content exploring the shadows and light of each sign. And if you found value in today's exploration, please leave a like on this video. It helps others discover these astrological insights. We'd love to hear your own experiences with Aries' revenge in the comments below. Have you witnessed their fiery justice in action? Are you an Aries who recognized your own strategies in our list? Or perhaps you're someone who crossed an Aries and lived to tell the tale. Share your story and join the conversation with fellow zodiac enthusiasts. The more detailed your comment, the better. We read every single one and often feature the most insightful responses in future videos. If you've especially enjoyed our content and want to support more in-depth astrological explorations, please consider using the Super Thanks feature. Your contribution helps cover the costs of research, production, and content creation, allowing us to bring you daily zodiac insights with the depth and quality you deserve. Every Super Thanks donation directly supports our ability to create more of the content you love and helps us maintain our commitment to daily uploads. Before you go, take a moment to explore our playlist on the darker sides of each zodiac sign. You might be surprised at what your own sign is capable of when pushed too far. From Scorpio's infamous sting to Gemini's dual-faced revenge, each sign has its own approach to settling scores that reveals deeper truths about their core nature and values. Until next time, stay wise to the ways of the zodiac, and remember, with Aries, it's always better to stay on their good side. Their reactions are swift, their energy is boundless, and their revenge, when it arrives, is as immediate and powerful as the ram that represents them. We'll see you in our next zodiac revelation here on Secret of the Zodiac.